right, let's take you further to the same aspect. Well, there'll be more pain at the pump as Kenyans dig deeper into their pockets to pay an extra 7 shillings to purchase a litre of super petrol and diesel and an extra 12 shillings to afford a litre of kerosene. KTN's Brian George Otieno now tells us of the impact in the new fuel prices.
The retail cost of fuel has increased to a historical high as the government dropped subsidies. This coming hot on heels of the already skyrocketing fuel prices that could just complicate the matrix in the transport system and have a ripple effect on other commodity prices. Super petrol will now retail at 134 Kenya shillings per litre in Nairobi, while diesel will go for 115.6 Kenya shillings and kerosene 110.81 Kenya shillings per litre. In a statement released by IPRA Tuesday, super petrol increased by 7.58 shillings per litre, diesel went up by 7.94 Kenya shillings, while kerosene went up by 12.97 Kenya shillings. The government has over the last few months subsidized the cost of these 3 petroleum products and had cushioned Kenyans from the sharp spike. However, players are alarmed over the continued skyrocketing fuel prices despite a petroleum fund being in place. The other big question is why Kenya, as a country with a seaport, has to charge its citizenry so high for petroleum products, yet other landlocked neighboring countries like Uganda charge comparatively less.
Tunapinyilika sana, hata dereva hatupati kitu. Unapiga mahesabu ya gari bila itapata pesa na bila utawasiwa, na ile utawasiwa unaona hakuna kitu unawasiwa na unaogopa kunyang'anywa gari. Kwa hivyo unapeana pesa, unaaswa kama na kitu kidogo tu. Wakati watu walikuwa kwa 7 tulikuwa tunabeba na ngiri na 200. Hesabu ilikuwa inakuja ngiri 8 na 400. Sasa na mafuta haikuwa juu hivi. Sasa bei imeanguka, imeenda mafuta ya juu na bei ya abiria imeanguka sababu gari sasa inabeba capacity. Na kuenda Maua na kurudi gari inakunywa ngiri 8. Kwa hivyo mkondo moja yote ya kukuja ni mafuta, hii ingine ya kurudi ndio tunasea na gari na mwenye gari na expenses.
Hata ingawa capacity ya gari ilirudi normal, bei ya matatu ilikujanga ikarudi normal, ikatoka ile price ikarudi normal. So bado unapata hata hiyo mafuta bado iko juu na tena
owing to the fact that petroleum prices are a sure trigger to inflation in the country and globally, Kenyans may just have to dig deeper to afford some basic necessities and perhaps shed off other not so important needs. And so, is this the last of fuel price hikes? Brian George Otieno, KTN News, Nairobi.
Well, still staying with this subject, we are now joined by Vivian Wandera, one of our reporters on the economy desk. And Vivian, just give us an explanation. What has led to the rise in the fuel prices?
Now, Abby, fuel prices have hit an all-time high in Kenya's history, with diesel going for 115 shillings, super petrol going for 134 shillings, and kerosene going for 110 shillings, which is a very steep rise comparing the prices from when in January diesel was going for about 96 shillings and kerosene was going for 87 shillings and super petrol was going for only 106 shillings. Now, IPRA Deputy Director General explained that the reason for this is because of the removal of subsidies which were in place that were protecting Kenyans from high fuel prices. And also from 2010, the government has been cushioning Kenyans through cutting oil margins for oil marketing companies and in return compensating them through the Ministry of Treasury. And in such things, that is how the fuel prices were low.
All right. And Vivian, do we expect the same trend to continue? How soon are we likely to see a drop?
I don't think we're going to see a drop anytime soon, even though the IPRA Director General said that the reason why the fuel prices are high right now is because there have been mechanisms in place that did not take effect this month, causing the prices to go high so steeply. But unless some changes are implemented by Parliament, we will not see a change in the prices anytime soon.
Right, many thanks there, Vivian Wandera, just giving us the lowdown on matters fuel prices. Remember, there is currently a session going on in Senate where our reporter Noah Kipkembo is keeping tabs with in regards to this developing story. Remember, our discussion is just about to get into another stage where we want to engage with George Aluru, who is going to be giving us some perspectives around also matters to do with the renewable energy. Many thanks, George, for joining us on the show.
Thank you.
And of course, your quick reaction to, we are seeing the fuel prices have risen by close to 7 shillings and 58 cents. What does this mean really? You also sit at the Kenya Private Sector Alliance in one of the committees that champions the energy agenda. What does this really mean for businesses, manufacturers, small businesses as well?
Thanks, Abby, for the question. I also do actually chair the Energy and Extractive Sector Board of the Kenya Private Sector Alliance. And the sum effect of this, of course, is an increase in the cost of energy, which then has a ripple effect on things like transport, to an extent also to power generation, which then, of course, will have a much further ripple effect on the cost of living in Kenya. So
all right.
That's what we would expect here.
And George, very interesting comments there that it's going to affect the cost of living.
Yeah.
And what sort of reactions will this have? Let's say if tomorrow someone is going to buy 5 litre of cooking oil, or someone is buying cooking flour,
Yeah.
what are the implications, direct implications really?
I think really, of course, whenever the cost of fuel goes higher, it has a straight direct implication on the transportation cost of this kind of commodities. So you would expect that there will be a slight margin adjustment in terms of the price of whatever products you'll be buying off your shelf. And this is more or less what will be directly visible and fast enough, because then, of course, manufacturers would be hit with a higher cost of transportation here.
All right. And shifting gears a bit, as we look at this fuel price rise, there are other alternative sources of energy, including solar, wind, biogas. And all this seem to not be that attractive to Kenyans. And you also wear a different hat when you look at matters to do with renewable energy. Just walk us through, are we seeing Kenyans gradually gravitating towards tapping into renewable energy solutions for household level, for industrial use?
Yeah, I think yes, that is quite right. So what we are seeing, I think on the Kenyan grid in terms of power generation, we already do have quite significant input of renewables. I think we are, at some point, we are close to 90% in terms of what is being dispatched as energy, in terms of renewable energy. But then also domestically and at a local level, we are seeing a lot of commercial and industrial installations where people are choosing to install, let's say, solar or a mini hydro if they have such a resource close to their facilities, to just supply themselves directly. Yeah? And then, of course, there's the trend towards e-mobility, so electric vehicles. These are things that we would expect would be the repercussion of this continual increase in the price of fuel. Yeah.
And George, looking at this agenda towards green solutions, you also head Econa Kenya as the managing director.
Yes.
Just walk us through the trends we expect to see, and how are we faring compared to other regions when it comes to adoption of renewable energy?
I think if you look at it from the African continent perspective, then Kenya is one of the leading lights. We have really great resources in wind, in solar, geothermal, of course, and hydro to a lesser extent, but still with a lot of hydro. And as I said in the beginning, we are doing a lot of generation out of renewable energy. At the moment, whatever is not renewable energy is just because it's really important to support the system. So I would say we are doing quite well. Of course, things could improve. We could also encourage a bit more of storage solutions like batteries. We could also use electric vehicles as some kind of storage for this electricity that we're generating.
All right.
Yeah. And of course also bioenergy. So you could blend the fuels, and that could be like probably a direct thing that could be done on the fuel that we're using in our cars, to just use a bit of bioethanol. In that way we control the local production of this bioethanol and also reduce costs in terms of the cost of fuel itself. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, George Aluru, Managing Director, Econa Kenya, just giving us perspectives around renewable energy and his quick sentiments on what to expect when you look at the cost of living. Indeed, time to buckle up. Some very interesting times ahead. Let's shift gears now and move to another developing story right now. Well, a bruising land battle is looming between the county government of Kericho and James Finlay over the alleged unilateral sale of Lemoti